Well, unfortunately none of my leads were panning out for GE810 parts, but I think I may have just solved all my problems. Yeah, I just picked up another one. I decided just for the heck of it to go onto eBay and search for GE810. I think maybe I could find somebody just selling some parts or whatever, and to my surprise, it was somebody selling this entire set within driving distance of my place. And the opening bid seemed reasonable. I turned out to be the only bidder. So I just got back from Bourbonnais, Illinois, and here it is. It's in really rough shape, and I have no intentions of restoring it, which is great because I just want the parts. The cabinet is miserable, and it's stinky. So it's probably out in a barn or something. This entire side is just trashed. And it's nice and rusty inside. But I don't care because it's not what I'm after. The other reason I really wanted to get this set is that the CRT may be good, and this should be a 10 FP4, which would be fantastic. But if not, even just for the flyback and the control, which is here, and the shaft rotates, so there's a chance it's still good. The grill cloth is actually in pretty good shape too, so if I can carefully peel it off of this cabinet, maybe I can put it on mine. There's a couple knobs, but they're in crummy shape. This one's got a chip out of it. This one might be okay. Get it off. I'll worry about that later. And something else, the focus control on mine is, well, this one feels like it too. It's weird. The focus control is up here, and the shaft is down here, and there's a belt. And this one feels wobbly, just like mine. I was thinking this one might be better. Another thing is the safety glass on mine. It's a layer of glass, plastic and glass, to form the, so when the glass cracks, it doesn't go flying. Well, mine has some bubbles in it, so this one might be in better shape. And then, of course, there's the flyback, which is the thing I'm really, really hoping is in good shape. I have really not looked at this set. I just got back with it. Hey, that sure looks like the original. The little board with the components on it that mine's missing. Actually, that's really strange. Huh. I do think I spy two mica caps in series. Put the camera down for a sec. There, I got the horizontal output tube and damper tube out of the way. So this has two mica caps in series, just like the one in my set had. And when I took them out, the width shrunk. But this looks like it's probably the original. That wiring looks to be the original wiring. And the labeling on it too looks right. Looks like it matches the schematics. I think this is the original. Well, I sure hope it's good. Let's look at the rest of it. That's curious. It's got the speaker, but it's not connected. Oh, another little bonus that the speaker is good. Looks like everything's here. It's probably just left out in a barn for decades. I'm not guaranteeing this is a 10 FP4. There's always a chance that the base is loose. There's always a chance somebody replaced it with a 10 BP4 at some point. Man, that chassis is disgusting. I undid the two bolts that were holding it in and slid it out, flipped it over, and lots of crud. Luckily no dead critters, or live critters for that matter. And I left the rest of it out in the garage for now. I'll satisfy myself with just checking out the controls. This is the horizontal and vertical hold. Rusty, but both shafts do turn, so keep my fingers crossed. And this is a brightness contrast. Just looks a little weird. There's a lot of separation between the two halves. Oh, I see, it actually broke loose. or something. This might be trashed, I don't know. Oh, I think I know what happened. I think somebody whacked on this really hard. The shaft broke the back half off. That's a shame, because on mine, the inner control, it works, but there's no stop. It just keeps turning and turning. Well, maybe I can salvage it, who knows. And the picture tube is aluminized. Don't know if it's any good or not, but it's definitely got shiny aluminum coating on the inside. Tomorrow, when there's better light and I'm not so tired, I'll get that flyback out. I want to be careful because there's a bunch of wires that run through the chassis. And in mine, now that I can see this one, the wiring in mine's been replaced. The wiring in this one is original. It has special like spaghetti high voltage tubing to protect the wires. And I want to carefully extract it and retain all the original wiring and everything. And that's assuming it's good. I took a good look inside the high voltage cover, and there is a lot of debris in there, so there is a chance that some rodent like ate through the wax donut right into the high voltage coil. But keep my fingers crossed, and let's keep my fingers crossed about this picture tube. Get a little Windex, clean up this neck, take a closer look at it, and then get out the tester. After cleaning the neck off, I did finally find the label 10FP4. It's a little faint. Alright, so we got the CR70 hooked up, and let's see what happens. Oh, filament's glowing. Been lucky lately. Well, my luck still hold. So far, so good. No cutoff. And emissions are, well, they were there for a moment. Now they're just gone completely. Make sure that the connections are solid. Checking the clips in the CRT base. Well, could have an open cathode. The filament's still glowing. It's weird to have absolutely zero emissions unless the cathode is open. It's a lot that when I went from cutoff to emissions it did jump up for a moment. But not anymore. Yeah, nothing. Could also have an open G1 or G2, I suppose. Correct the filament up a bit more. Nope. Try tapping the neck. Also have a loose base on the CR2. Well, actually, the base is a little bit loose. I meant the pin might not be soldered on that one. Look pretty good though. Bummer. Oh, well. Well, look at that. I don't know what I did. I don't know how I did it. But emissions suddenly are way over into the good. Tapping the neck again. Ah, there it goes. Down. Alright. So, something loose somewhere. You know, maybe it's just my, might just be these clips. People have definitely bitched about these before not being the greatest thing. See, the deal is that the CR70 was such a late production model, like from the 70s into the 80s, that they figured nobody would care about this kind of CRT base. They don't give you an adapter for it, they just give you these little clips. Now, somebody has reverse engineered this connector, and I could buy a connector, you can get it from Mauser and other places, and salvage a socket from a set, and I could make my own adapter, which would make my life a whole lot easier. And I probably should have done it by now, but I just never get around to it. Alright, so let's check it. Oh yeah, good cutoff. I think I got the filament still cranked up too high. Drop that back down. Yeah, man, this is almost as good as that 10 BP4 I tested last week. And, do a life test. Wow, it's not even moving. Damn, well, once again I got lucky. However, this wasn't the real point of it. I mean, it'd be great to get a good 10 FP4, but it's this stuff that I really care about. So next up, I will clean this off and hope it's good. A little surface corrosion, no big deal. I can put some rust inhibitor on that or something. I don't really want to slob navel jelly on it because I don't want to get that inside the control and ruin it. Here's a bit of good news. I tested the control and it is good. And I know I said I wasn't going to use rust remover on it, but just couldn't resist. I was careful, used a Q-tip, and I got pretty much all the corrosion off. Polished up the brass, put a little grease on it. So it's ready to install. Now, as for the flyback, got the chassis up on the workbench, popped off the high voltage cover, and much to my surprise, this does look just like the one in the other set. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are some subtle differences. For one, the core is red, and that wiring insulation is a bit different. Rock hard too, so it may be a bit tricky to get out. So what I'm starting to think now is that the flyback in my other set was replaced, but it was replaced with the correct, probably GE original flyback. And so here's those two mica caps in series across the same point in the other sets. So maybe somebody had the same issue, wanted to increase the width. Maybe there was even a GE factory service note that went out to techs to install these mica caps if there was a width issue. Also found something else out. Here's one of those resistors I was searching for in my other set that was absent. And another one was schematic showed a, let's see, where's the schematic? There it is. Schematic shows a 33 ohm resistor going to the sweep output tube. Well, that's this, and unless it's hiding inside this cap, which apparently it's not, I don't know where that would be, because this is going right to the flyback and right into the coil, so maybe that was a production run change and they just took that out. Now, here's another resistor that I couldn't find in the other set. That one is across the linearity coil. And the other one, the 3.3K, I found was underneath the chassis. So certainly in this set, all components, other than that 33 ohm resistor and the plate, or grid cap, the plate cap, are present and accounted for. These components, well, actually pretty much everything in this chassis has seen better days, but alright, so here's another puzzler. Remember I had mentioned that in the previous video I measured the resistance of the high voltage donut, and it was 365 ohms or something like that. This measures the same, even though on the schematic they show much less, only 230 ohms. So who's right? I'm pretty darn sure this is the original, and this matches the other one, so I'm thinking 300 and change is really what it's supposed to be. So where does all this leave us? Well, I'm starting to think it's entirely possible the flyback is fine in the other set, and there's something else that's gone wrong somewhere. But I'm certainly going to remove this, and I can try swapping them out, even though it's a bit of a pain because there's a lot of wires. But something else I can do is use use that Suncor Flyback tester and check this guy and see how it tests. Now I'm going to perform the same ringer test I performed on the other Flyback. So I clipped out the two components going to this lug, so I've isolated just the high voltage winding. And check this out. When I test it, it's into the good. Just barely, but into the good. On the other Flyback, it was down around 6 or 7. So that's a pretty good indication that there's something up with the other Flyback. Probably a shorted turn buried somewhere inside the many windings on that coil. And there's a decent chance that this one's good. Of course, there's other sections of the Flyback I'll need to test. So I will proceed with removing it from this set and transplanting it into the other set. But I will save that for another video, because I'll probably do that tomorrow or the next day. I want to do it when I've gotten a good night's sleep and I'm not so tired, because this is going to require some delicate surgery. But I wanted to post a video tonight so you guys would get the news that I found another entire GE810 set.